What's up, everyone? In today's video, we're going to be going over some of the best setups in the market right now and some exciting things that are happening behind the scenes. In today's video, like I said, we have some awesome setups. And we also have a big money play of the day that you won't want to miss. So make sure to stick with us towards the end. But Tom, let's get right into today's episode.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty rough day on the SPY overall, and we talked a lot yesterday about that $400 key support level. And it looks like today we pretty much stayed right around there. So obviously 400 is a pretty big level. There is some resistance around 401 as well. As we can see today, that ended up being pretty much the high there, but 400 was, pretty close to there as well. So, every time we mention these big supports, give or take about $1 or so, especially with all this crazy price action lately. Like you can see there's multiple hits around 400, multiple at 401, and multiple at 399. But the SPY did actually dip down a little bit today, and those Fed FOMC minutes ended up playing a pretty big role into this. So you can see that right here where I'm circling in the middle of the day, we got a lot of crazy price action come in as those minutes started releasing. And the minutes honestly just kind of mimicked exactly what happened in the last FOMC meeting. And pretty much they pretty much just showed exactly what Powell kept saying, that the Feds are looking for a 2% inflation target, and inflation remained well above that. And they're also talking about potentially upping the basis point or the rate hike right now from 25 basis points up to 50 basis points. As we go through here, they said that a few members said that they wanted this 50 basis point increase. The St. Louis Fed president, James Bullard, and Loretta Mester with Cleveland were among that group. They did not specify how many a few members were, but Mike, it actually sounds pretty good to me. I hope that they go for a 50 basis point increase because honestly, it's pretty tough to have inflation the way it is. And whenever we saw that last reading come through, it honestly just wasn't the best. We actually saw a pretty high amount, I should say, of Fed members obviously go for 25 basis points, but a lot of I know people and analysts still wanted 50 basis points because inflation's just been so crazy this past year.
Without a doubt. And like you said, today, it was just a lot of what we already knew when it came to the FOMC minutes. There was no crazy groundbreaking new information, but at the same time, we saw a little bit of selling pressure from this event. And what's worth noting with the SPY in the market right now, it's like, especially when we look at the heat map, we can see that there's not a ton of momentum. Like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and a lot of other big powerhouse tech companies are just doing nothing. They're literally just barely moving, with the exception of a couple stocks here and there. But we're at a point right now where it's like these stocks have had a great uptrend over the past couple weeks, but we're not to a point where it's like complete panic selling. It's just like a major slowdown.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that a lot of these tech stocks have been starting to slow down the past week even. I know that there's just been a big issue with the market right now where we've just been overextended over the past few months. Like we've been really ripping back to the upside, and a lot of these stocks have been ripping back, like Tesla and many more. And it just was kind of like a negative day in the market, and those minutes just didn't help. And talking about stocks that having some crazy moves, Intel actually slashed their dividend by 65%. And what was really funny, Mike, is I saw this happen with Intel, and their stock was actually popping up today at market open. So if we go to the 1-minute chart, check out this price action here. This was actually pretty crazy to see whenever they slashed their dividend like that. Obviously, it should help their books a little bit when they slash this, so maybe that's why they popped up. But as the day went on, they started selling off, kind of like I figured they would.
Exactly. So it's tough. Intel has been struggling so much over the past couple years. And, it's like, I guess it's good that they're cutting their dividend, to help their balance sheet and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, shareholders don't like to see their dividends cut by 65%.
Yeah, exactly. And I know some people were talking about AT&T, kind of comparing it to like whenever they cut their dividends. And man, like look at AT&T stock over the past like 5 years. It sold off in a major way, hitting lows there in October of 2022. So it's crazy. And whenever a stock cuts their dividends, it's obviously a bad thing. But Mike, talking about chip stocks, let's go ahead and get into Nvidia's earnings, which just came out.
You know it, Tom. So looking at Nvidia stock, it's looking pretty good so far. So Nvidia beat on earnings expectations as well as revenue expectations, but this report was pretty interesting as their quarterly revenue is actually down 21% from the period a year ago, right? So pretty interesting, right? Quarterly revenue down 21% year over year, yet they did beat on revenue and earnings expectations, and the stock's looking pretty decent in after hours so far.
Yeah, this is a huge rip back to the upside. And I will say, I was pretty worried about Nvidia here, Mike. Like, whenever we look at that daily chart, it was actually getting pretty overextended. And I was a little worried that we might drop down to 200 or actually fall under it with these earnings coming out. But going back to that 1 minute chart, it is awesome to see us extending up right now. Now, I'm a little curious if this is going to hold up because some of these numbers weren't the best. That quarterly revenue being down 21% year over year is not good. But if we go to our popular news tab on Discord, you can see they did beat expectations on pretty much just about everything besides that data center revenue. So I don't know, Mike. It's a very weird time right now for Nvidia. Whenever I read through their article and everything like that, I saw a lot of stuff where they're talking about this. Gaming is recovering from a post-pandemic downturn, obviously. Their gaming center revenue is actually pretty rough as well. So I don't know. It's weird. Like, looking at some of these numbers, I don't feel like it's the best, but hey, that's typical earnings, right? You never know how they're going to end up going or how the market is going to react to this. And we had a few more earnings tonight too, like Lucid, Unity, Etsy, and Teladoc. Obviously, it would take us hours to cover all of these, but Nvidia is the big one. And tomorrow we even have Block, Carvana, Warner Bros, and even more. But man, what a move here. And this is actually really good. I hope that this helps other chip stocks move as well. AMD is actually already up in after hours, and it looks like Intel is slightly up too.
Yeah, and then even check out SPY. Ever since Nvidia reported in after hours, SPY had a decent pop up, which is good to see. But I really want to, make sure everyone is following Nvidia from right now until the market opens tomorrow. I don't know if it was this past earnings season or the last earnings season, but Microsoft reported earnings, and at first they were looking pretty good. But by the time open came around, the stock actually ended up going negative, and it dragged the entire market down with it. So just keep a close eye on this one. I don't trust it too much, but we'll see what happens. If it starts to pull back, understand that the market can definitely shift its momentum based off that.
Yeah, it really can. It's going to be a tough one to watch into tomorrow morning. Those turnarounds are brutal sometimes with these earnings. I hope it stays up, though. The numbers, though, don't really wow me too much. So I don't know, Mike. It's a very weird one to me. Looking at some of the other ones that reported tonight, like Lucid's down a little bit here in after hours, Etsy's popping up, Unity's falling off. So very mixed across these earnings here tonight. And we had that bad news with Intel today, also with them slashing that dividend in the chip sector. That might even weigh down some of these chip stocks if they continue down tomorrow too. So there's a lot of big stuff going on right now in the market. Those minutes were a huge effect today as well. And I feel like this is just going to be a huge thing for the market for the next few days. And I'm really hoping for a nice recovery here. And if SPY keeps pushing up and we break it back above 400 tomorrow, who knows? We might actually pop back up. We've had a few solid red days in a row now at this point.
I think this $400 level on SPY is going to be crucial going forward. Like you said, if SPY has enough momentum to truly break above it, we can see a nice move up, right? But that's a big if. It's right now there's just not enough momentum in the market right now. So it's it would be hard to see a true breakout above that $400 level. What looks to be more likely right now is, maybe we test that $400 level, maybe we move slightly above it, but not with enough momentum, and then we just get rejected right off of it. So tomorrow, if there's one level you have to watch for SPY, it's 400. It's going to be a tough level to truly break out above, but if the breakout can be strong enough, then, there's opportunity.
Yeah, there definitely is. And I feel like some of these big tech stocks are going to be the big thing to watch. Like if Nvidia starts turning around and, they start going negative, that's probably not going to be a good thing to then play the SPY up in the morning. And we'll probably see other tech stocks fall off in that scenario as well. And looking at that heat map from today, it was just very bland, just not really a lot of movement all across the board. And I hope that that doesn't happen again tomorrow, but it very well might as the market tries to digest the minutes, now Nvidia's earnings. Because what's strange is like the minutes obviously sent us down with the SPY quite a bit. Now the Nvidia earnings are making us pop up. It's almost like, two like opposite pieces of news here trying to like counteract the market.
True. All right. Well, for tomorrow, there are a couple stocks that I think are setting up in a pretty decent way. The first one I'm watching is Bank of America and just other bank stocks. I talked about this one yesterday, and I've been seeing a lot of put flow, not only on Bank of America, but just other bank stocks overall. So I definitely have these bank stocks close on my watch list to the downside. I'm going to be hawking them pretty closely. I'm going to watch stocks like Bank of America and JP Morgan and then Deutsche Bank, which is ticker symbol DB, for potential moves down.
Yeah, there's some pretty big supports on those bank stocks, so definitely keep them on the radar. I'm really watching DB with that big money play we had a couple days ago. I'll tell you, yesterday we talked about Oxy going to the downside too, Mike, and man, that was an amazing play this morning. Oxy started really selling off under $60, which was huge, and if we go out to that daily chart, they're starting to look pretty negative here. They're actually moving quite a bit under this recent trend line that they've been bouncing off of, so I'm going to continue to watch this one. If they fall under 58 tomorrow, I'm going to watch for a continuation down. I thought that was a pretty good play today, and I feel like that Oxy, they might not keep going down every single day, but I feel like over the next couple months, they'll start to come back down and retest 55, and then maybe 52 and 50 as the next couple months go on. It was kind of weird. Crude oil actually had a humongous dip today. Like, look at this red candle intraday on crude. That was pretty rough.
Yeah, it was a tough one. All right, another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Palantir. It boosted up pretty good on earnings last week, but it's starting to fade off. Right now, it's lingering right around $8.40, and we're getting pretty close to that $8 support level. So if we could touch that, I feel like it could be a decent dip buy setup for, just like a bounce off that $8 support to the upside.
Yeah, I like it. I was actually watching them to the downside for the past couple of days, but I am definitely starting to watch it back up now as they approach some of these big supports. So I like that. And yeah, hopefully we get a nice bounce up. That would honestly be a nice thing, especially with those earnings last week. We had that nice push to the upside and a nice post earnings continuation. Then I feel like they just started selling off as all those growth stocks were pulling back. So maybe we will see a recovery there. But honestly, I'm still looking at like other stocks to the downside, like Boeing still, unfortunately. I know Boeing's not overly correlated with the SPY, which in my opinion is a good thing right now, but Boeing does seem pretty overextended in the short term. And if we start to fall under 204, or actually 203, I'm going to watch for a push to the downside. If we look at that 5-minute chart, you can see that 204 to 203, there's been a ton of bounces there over the past couple of weeks. I went ahead and circled some, and man, if we fall under that 203 level, I feel like there could be a push down to maybe $200 even. I wouldn't look for anything much lower than 200 though. That should be a pretty big support.
Gotcha. All righty. Well, it's now time for the momentum plays. With today's first one, we actually have ExxonMobil to the downside.
Yeah, Exxon, kind of like the Oxy play. Go ahead and make them break below 108.50.
All right, with the next one, we have Boeing also to the downside.
Yeah, Boeing, love that. Let's go ahead and make them break below 203.
And with the last one, we have Amazon, but we need both directions.
Yeah, Amazon was kind of strange today. I'll tell you, it did a lot better than most of the other stocks I saw today. If they end up breaking out above that 97 resistance, I like them to the upside. That was a big resistance there today. But if they fall under 95, then I'll look at some puts. I feel like it's kind of like in a range right now. So I'm really just watching for a break in either direction.
All right, so we're watching Amazon for that potential break to the upside. If it breaks above that level, we are looking at it for a day trade to the upside tomorrow. And then we are watching it for that downside level as well. And then don't forget about Boeing and ExxonMobil for other potential downside day trades tomorrow. But it is now time for the big money play of the day. We had $602,000 go into the WM 150 strike puts that expire on March 17th of 2023. So Waste Management, this company has been pretty flat over the past couple months. Right now it's lingering right around 152. It's just above that 150 support. And this is a big money play, obviously, that is betting that the stock will fall down. It's not my favorite setup ever, but I do think it has potential. Now, it is a little bit out of the money, and the expiration is close, which, is where most of the risk comes into play. But, if we see like a nice break below this like 150 support, maybe like right around like 148 or so, I do think we could see a nice run to the downside.
I really do too. This stock seems very, very overextended on a longer term basis. I mean, this stock has been very consistent ever since like 2015, 2014. Honestly, even back to 2012, this thing has been on quite the uptrend, and I could see it pulling back too. Maybe it won't slow down, but with someone putting 600 grand into these 150 strike puts, and with the way we're starting to consolidate, with the way the market's starting to get shaky, we had those weird FOMC minutes push us down today. So I kind of feel like that's a good play on waste management. I'll definitely keep it on the radar. And these big money plays I feel like they've been slept on this year, Mike. I mean, we have seen some awesome stuff since the beginning of the year on so many different stocks where these plays have been working out perfectly in a lot of cases. Like, look at Boyle. That was an amazing one just today, even.
Yeah, that was the big money trade from yesterday, just like you said, and it's been looking pretty good. It's like, don't you love when you just have, you could call it a couple $100,000 or sometimes a couple $1 million going to a call or put play, and then the next thing you know, the stock's booming.
Yeah, exactly. So keep waste management on the radar. It's going to be a big one. Whenever you see this much money go into things, like we always say, Mike, they're not doing this just by the seat of their pants. They did a lot of strategy. Probably they either have a big analyst that's doing this for them, or they obviously know what they're doing when they're putting this much money into an option like this that has that much risk, especially when it's even out of the money by a couple dollars like that. So I like it, Mike. I don't believe that they're shorting it. They could be shorting this, but I don't think they are, given the support there and how close we are.
Yeah, so we will see. So, Tom, for tomorrow, we're still at an interesting point. SPY's just kind of stuck. Nvidia's given SPY some hope with this after hours move. Do you have any final thoughts heading into tomorrow?
Yeah, it's going to be huge. We have to finally get like a big move away from this $400 area. We kind of tried to move away from there today, and then in after hours, these Nvidia earnings kind of brought us right back up into that level once again. I thought we were going to start moving down with those minutes pushing us lower, but now with the Nvidia stuff coming out, it's kind of like 50-50. We have one good piece of news, one bad piece of news. So kind of strange here, but I'm really going to be watching that level on the SPY. I'm waiting for a big break up or down, but I feel like there's a lot of potential in a lot of these plays that we gave today, like Boeing, for example, Bank of America to the downside. Like, some of those plays are awesome in my opinion. They're at just like such major supports that even if the SPY doesn't do much, something like Boeing that isn't really correlated with the SPY could have a pretty good intraday move.
There we go. All right. Well, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. But I'll tell you, going into tomorrow, my eyes are definitely set on Nvidia. I think it definitely has the power to lead the market in either direction. If this upwards momentum can sustain itself, it can be a good sign. But at the same time, we've seen many earnings releases where the momentum just can't hold, and eventually the market tumbles down with it. So keep a close eye on Nvidia going into tomorrow. I think it'll definitely be a leader. Also, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Phil K on YouTube. You've been pretty active in the YouTube comments over the past couple weeks, so definitely keep it up. It's awesome to see that stuff. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's have an amazing end to the week.